Let's be honest, nepotism is kind of a drag, isn't it? We've all seen instances in life where someone is given a job or opportunity that they didn't really earn and only received it because of someone in their family handing it down to them. The truth is that nepotism exists in all sorts of industries, from Hollywood to politics and more. And yes, there's nepotism in the NBA too. Throughout the league's history, some people have made a name for themselves in the association after their parents or siblings did the same. Now, make no mistake, sometimes people are legitimate ballers and have genuinely earned their place in the NBA even though they're related to other basketball stars. I don't want to make it seem like anyone tied to another NBA icon is bad and doesn't deserve it. Let's start with one of the most prominent teams in the league, the Golden State Warriors. Yes, we all know the team's two biggest stars are following in the footsteps of their fathers, but our first example of nepotism in the NBA isn't about a person on the court, but rather someone in the front office. For years now, Joe Lacob has run the Warriors quite well. He's been a huge part of the team's transformation from bottom-of-the-barrel wannabes to four-time champions. Lacob might not be a household name, but he's a vital part of the team's status as an NBA dynasty. Lacob has worked long and hard to turn the team's fate around, and now his son is along for the ride. At the end of last season, it was announced that Warriors general manager Bob Myers was leaving his position after years of leading the team. The departure of Myers was going to leave a huge hole in the organization. It wouldn't be an easy void to fill. Buried in the news of Myers' exit was an interesting tidbit. Joe Lacob was seeking a more prominent role for his son Kirk, according to Adrian Wojnarowski. When Joe bought the Warriors in 2010, his son Kirk followed shortly behind him. After graduating from Stanford, Kirk started to work for Golden State and would eventually climb up the corporate ladder to the position of VP of Basketball Operations. Now, there's some debate among fans if Kirk has earned this spot or not. The guy has definitely worked hard. He has over a decade of experience, including as the general manager of Golden State's G League team and the Warriors' assistant GM in 2012. And he knows basketball too. In fact, Kirk was offered an internship with the Phoenix Suns before he joined his dad with the Warriors. So it sounds like he's not just some spoiled rich kid who's just riding his dad's coattails. In fact, Tim Kawakami of The Athletic once said that he considers Kirk to be the heir apparent to run the team someday. He's obsessive about basketball. He's put in the work, said Kawakami. In many ways, it sounds like Joe Lacob made the right call by hiring his son. I'm going to say this is a case of a good hire that's helping the team and the league. It just so happens that it features the owner's son. Let's stick with the Warriors for a minute. Did you know that head coach Steve Kerr has a son who is also part of the Warriors? It's true. His son Nick started his journey in the league back in 2017 as an assistant in the San Antonio Spurs video room. Greg Popovich is obviously very close with Steve Kerr, so it's not surprising to hear his son got a job. From San Antonio, he bounced over to California and started working video for the Warriors, and he was doing quite well in that position. But then Nick got into coaching, just like dear old dad. He eventually became an assistant coach for the Golden State's G League team, the Santa Cruz Warriors. In August of 2023, it was announced that Nick was going to step up and become head coach of the Santa Cruz team. At the time, some Warriors fans were outraged, saying that Nick only got the promotion because of his dad and all he's done for the Warriors. At the same time, it's important to note that Nick played basketball in college and also spent a lot of time working in those video rooms for both the Spurs and Warriors. That's a path that many NBA coaches have followed. In fact, Miami Heat coach Erik Spoelstra got his start as a video assistant in the league too. Still, people were wondering if Nick would have ever gotten his foot in the door if it weren't for his pop. I'm not so sure about this one. It kind of feels like Nick is mostly in the league because of his dad's clout. What do you think? The Los Angeles Lakers, one of the most popular and successful basketball franchises of all time. For years, one family has run the team. The Busses have been in charge of the Lakers since the 1970s, when Jerry Buss purchased the team and then transformed the franchise and the entire league into what we know and love today. Since then, the Lakers have been a Buss organization through and through. Today, Jerry's daughter Jeannie is the team's controlling owner and president, and for some time, her brother Jim was also involved with the team in the role of vice president of basketball operations. But when the Lakers fell on hard times, Jeannie had a tough choice to make and she canned her dear brother. Ouch. But there were other Busses in the lineup ready to work for the team. Today, Jeannie's younger brothers Joey and Jesse are both involved with the Lakers. Jesse has been in charge of scouting for years, and Joey's become president of LA's G League team, the South Bay Lakers. Are you noticing that the G League has a lot of siblings and offspring working in it? It's interesting, isn't it? Plus, fans of the NBA have come to expect this from the Lakers. The team has belonged to the Buss family for a generation now, and it's expected that more members will be joining in the future. This isn't very surprising at all. However, it sounds like both Jesse and Joey are gaining more power in LA, and that has some people wondering what the future holds for current GM Rob Pelinka. According to The Athletic, the voices of Joey and Jessie Buss are being considered among Lakers leaders now more than ever. That means in the future, Pelinka might lose some control in favor of Jessie, Joey, and Jeannie Buss. Are the Busses trying to take over the team that they already own? This is most definitely a case of nepotism, and Jessie and Joey have their jobs because they also have their last names. But again, this isn't shocking at all because the Lakers and Busses have been so closely linked for decades now. As all NBA fans know, it's been a tough few decades for the Sacramento Kings. The team was the laughingstock of the league for years and failed to make the playoffs for almost 2 decades. In fact, they weren't even a laughingstock because their situation was too sad to be even remotely humorous. Over the years, Kings owner Vivek Ranadive received a lot of backlash from fans as they accused him of mismanaging the team and running it into the ground. If you've watched the Kings over the last 2 decades, especially in the NBA draft, you would probably agree with the criticism. But some of the biggest pushback Ranadive ever got was when he hired his daughter, Anjali. In May of 2022, it was reported that Anjali was the new assistant general manager of Sacramento's G League team, the Stockton Kings. That means she was working directly under GM Paul Johnson and was assisting in basketball operations and player evaluations. That's quite the job. Hey, maybe she knows basketball well and is perfect for this. Maybe she's an NBA expert and this hiring made sense. Well, maybe. But let me tell you, people were upset when Anjali got the position. That's because she seems to have little experience in the world of basketball. In fact, before she got this cushy gig, she was an aspiring singer-songwriter and had positively no experience running a team. That's quite the promotion, huh? So those are just some of the front office positions that were charged with claims of nepotism. Some seemed more egregious than others, but most of them pretty much flew below the radar because they were all done behind the scenes, hidden from the fans. We can't go on without mentioning a player who hasn't even entered the league yet, Bronny James. Yes, the son of LeBron James has a lot of heat around him, and there's a very good chance that he will be playing in the NBA within the year. Bronny is currently a freshman at USC, and his college career has sadly gotten off to a rough start because of a scary cardiac arrest incident in the summer. But even though he hasn't proven himself in college, he has impressed in high school and seems like a promising draft prospect. Of course, Bronny's rise to stardom has been met with tons of claims of nepotism. He wouldn't be anywhere if it weren't for LeBron, the critics say. It's impossible not to think about LeBron when you witness Bronny. They even have the same name. The charges of nepotism have been even louder when LeBron has celebrated his son on social media or appeared at his high school games. People say that this is bringing a ton of attention to the kid and it's giving him an unfair advantage over other young players. People say that the level of fame Bronny has received is silly and solely because of who his dad is. It isn't earned, they claim, and is a prime example of nepotism in the NBA. In October, Bronny signed a major endorsement deal with Nike. This was obviously a huge deal, and many athletes fight for years to create a partnership with Nike. Bronny was able to do it before he even turned 20 years old. For many, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. How could Bronny get a deal with Nike before he's even played in college or the league? This definitely had to do with his last name, they said. But those people better buckle up because no matter how he does in the NBA, Bronny is sure to gain more endorsement deals in the future. This one is tough. Bronny does have talent, but he wouldn't already be talked about on ESPN and in the hall of Nike headquarters if it weren't for his father. So I'm going to say that yes, this is nepotism. Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks is 2-time MVP, NBA champion, and one of the best basketball stars of this generation. But did you know that he has 3 brothers who have also attempted to forge a career in the league? And with their attempts came a lot of criticism. Let's start with Thanasis Antetokounmpo, the only brother aside from Giannis who is still in the league. This season, he's averaging 0.9 points and 0.6 rebounds a game and is only on the court for about 6 minutes. In other words, he won't be an all-star anytime soon. Then there's Alex, who signed a contract for a team back in the summer but didn't end up actually playing in the NBA. We never got a chance to see how he did. The thing is, both Thanasis and Alex have played for the Bucks, just like Giannis. This fact only increased speculation that Giannis made moves to get them jobs. He's one of the most powerful players in the world and the most important guy on the Bucks roster. If he wants something, he gets it. And he loves his brothers, so it totally stands to reason that he got them their signings. Shannon Sharpe went crazy on this subject at the start of the season. You know good and well, Giannis, your brother's probably not going to be playing for any other team in the NBA except Milwaukee, and that's only because of you, Sharpe said. A few years ago, Giannis's other brother Kostas was also in the league, but he didn't play for the Bucks and instead spent his time with the Dallas Mavericks and LA Lakers. In fact, Kostas actually won a championship before Giannis. Can you believe that? For years now, Giannis has been considered the best of the best, a true generational talent. And for all those years, people have said that he's forcing his brothers into the league. I'm gonna have to side with those people. It's cruel to say, but only one Antetokounmpo brother should be in the NBA. If the name Austin Rivers rings a bell, it's probably because he spent 11 years playing in the NBA for teams like the New Orleans Pelicans, Los Angeles Clippers, Houston Rockets, and others. He's a talented guy, a journeyman guard who had a career average of 8.5 points per game. Now, if this name rings a bell for another reason, it's probably because his dad is Doc Rivers, one of the most historic coaches in NBA history. Here's the thing about Austin. Half the people seem to think he got into the NBA on his own merits, while others think he got a leg up because of his dad. Austin definitely showed off on the court and was a genuine help to his team, but the nagging idea of nepotism hung over his head often. It got talked about even more when he became the first NBA player in history to be coached by his own father. That must have made for some interesting dinner table talks. There are plenty of people who have said that Seth Curry is another benefactor of nepotism. Seth is, of course, the brother of Steph Curry, who just so happens to be one of the best shooters in the history of the league. Unlike his bro, who is stuck with only the Warriors since being drafted, Seth has been all over, bouncing from the Sacramento Kings to the Dallas Mavericks, Portland Trailblazers, and beyond. He's still playing today, once again in Dallas with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Some people feel that Seth has only lasted so long because of the power of his last name and the prominence that his brother has in the league, but the dude is legitimately talented. In fact, he's an excellent three-point shooter just like his brother. And if you're still going to say that Seth is a Nepo baby, you kind of have to say the same thing about Steph, because both Curry brothers are sons of Del Curry, who played in the NBA for 16 seasons and retired as the Charlotte Hornets' all-time leader in points and three-pointers. I don't think that either Seth or Steph are in the league because of nepotism. They may have fallen in love with basketball because of their dad, but they didn't earn their spots in the league because of him. Speaking of Steph Curry, we all know that his teammate Klay Thompson has also been accused of nepotism. His dad, Michael, won 2 championships for the Lakers back in the Showtime era and is still beloved by that organization. Thompson is another person who made a true name for himself and can obviously be a brilliant player. But when he first got his start, some people said it was particularly because of his dad's career. Sure, maybe it started that way, but his dad's career didn't help Thompson win 4 championships with the Warriors. Like the Currys, Thompson isn't with the Warriors because of his father. He earned that. If you want to talk about someone who is doing all he can to avoid any claims of nepotism, you have to discuss Shaquille O'Neal. Years after retiring from the league, Shaq is still quite literally one of the biggest names in the game, and he carries a lot of weight. If he wanted to pull some strings and get his son on a team, he probably could. But Shaq has always said that he practices something called respectable nepotism. The Hall of Famer doesn't just hand out cash to his kids and instead makes them earn it at any job that they want. One of his children, Sharif, has tried to make it in the NBA, but you didn't see Shaq on the sidelines hyping him up. Instead, he let him prove his talents all on his own. Ultimately, he signed a deal with the NBA G League Ignite after playing for the Lakers in the 2022 Summer League. He hasn't stopped trying to play professional ball, but he's really been doing it on his own. Jalen Brunson, Gary Payton II, Devin Booker, Al Horford, all of these guys could be accused of nepotism because they have family members who have played professional ball. But as you can see, these are all impressive guys who can truly play. The debate over how they got into the league will continue, but there's no doubt that each of these players has now earned their spot. Since we've been talking about families, why not dig into the history of Jimmy Butler's family? He's actually lived quite an interesting life with a lot of ups and downs and adversity. You'll be surprised by the road he's taken to get to the Miami Heat.